Today on African News, Uganda and Tanzania officials say the $5 billion East African crude oil pipeline remains on track for July operations. South Africa announces the withdrawal of its troops from UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And Egypt condemns drone attacks targeting humanitarian aid convoys and medical facilities in Sudan. Welcome to African News. I'm James Ezimoha. Egypt has strongly condemned the repeated attacks targeting humanitarian aid convoys and medical facilities in Sudan, including a drone strike attack on World Food Programme convoy. The Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs also denounced an attack on a medical facility in the Kordofan region, which killed dozens of people and injured others, including medical staff. Naba Mohideen reports from Port Sudan.
Egypt on Sunday condemned an attack on a humanitarian aid convoy in Sudan as a grave violation of international humanitarian law. The Egyptian Foreign Ministry said the attacks on aid convoys that the Sudanese government blamed the paramilitary rapid support forces for represent a dangerous continuation of targeting humanitarian corridors and obstructing relief efforts. It stressed the need for unimpeded access for humanitarian aid to reach Sudanese people in a way that helps alleviate their suffering and creates the necessary conditions to halt escalation and restore stability. Also on Saturday, Sudanese authorities said 24 civilians were killed and others injured, including women, children, and the elderly, after an RSF attack on a vehicle carrying displaced people in the city of El Rahad in North Kordofan. The conflict in Sudan between the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces that erupted on April 2023 has killed thousands of people and displaced millions. Naba Mohideen for any News, Port Sudan.
South Africa has announced that it will withdraw its troops from the United Nations peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Security experts say the move will reduce South Africa's influence as a regional player in peacekeeping on the continent. Our correspondent Chris Ocharmga has more.
The United Nations peacekeeping mission in the DRC has acknowledged South Africa's request to withdraw its troops from the peacekeeping force. The decision was reportedly communicated by South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa to the UN Secretary General in January, but the public announcement only came over the weekend. The President's office says the decision was influenced by the need to realign the resources of its country's armed forces. South Africa says it will work with the UN to finalize the timelines and other modalities of the withdrawal, which will be completed before the end of the year. Authorities in Pretoria add they will continue to maintain close bilateral relations with the DRC and support regional and multilateral peace initiatives. South Africa is among the top 10 troop contributors to the UN mission in the DRC, known as MONUSCO. The country has supported peacekeeping operations in the DRC for 27 years and currently has more than 700 soldiers deployed. Last year, the South African government withdrew its troops serving under the Southern African Development Community in the DRC after M23 rebels captured the city of Goma, killing 14 South African soldiers. The UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC has expressed its gratitude to the people of South Africa for their steadfast commitment to UN peacekeeping and paid tribute to South African peacekeepers who lost their lives under the UN flag. Chris Ochamringa for A News in Kinshasa.
Across North Africa, waste volumes continue to rise, but Tunisia is attempting a different path. By expanding recycling under a circular economy model, the country is aiming to cut pollution, create jobs, and shift how citizens engage with waste management.
African Recycling is a Tunis-based company handling 10 to 15 tons of waste every day. Since its creation in 2009, the facility has supported Tunisia's national recycling efforts and environmental objectives. The company's head says it has become a highly sophisticated operation.
Cardboard waste is compressed here using specialized machines and then transported to factories to be recycled into corrugated cardboards. As for plastic waste, such as plastic bags, It is shredded and processed before being transformed into plastic pellets, which compete with pellets derived from petroleum.
Masmoudi's company is a public-private partnership, a model which has become increasingly popular in waste management, as it provides solutions to both sides. He says projects such as his are crucial in addressing the growing challenges of waste disposal in Tunisia.
We did face some challenges in the waste recycling sector, but in coordination with the Ministry of Environment, we addressed them. The current challenge is that Tunisia needs to move forward and focus on selective waste sorting, especially plastic waste and recyclable materials, starting from households and public administrations.
It's helping support the circular economy by lowering landfill reliance, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and preserving natural resources. But it's not just an environmental solution. Experts note that expanding recycling streams from electronic waste to street-collected plastics are becoming key drivers of job creation. And as they learn, it's also offering pathways for informal workers to formalize their activity.
These sectors could create really a lot of opportunities to develop the circular economy, to create a good economic dynamic, and could create a lot of job opportunities in the North African countries.
For Tunisia, scaling up recycling now hinges on expanding selective waste sorting at the source. Authorities say stronger collection systems and citizen engagement will be key to sustaining momentum and unlocking the full economic and environmental potential of the circular economy.
Uganda and Tanzania have agreed to boost cooperation in trade, infrastructure, and improve regional stability. This follows bilateral talks between Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni and Tanzania's Samia Suluhu at a meeting held in Dar es Salaam. Isabel Nakria brings us this report.
Discussions focused on speeding up the construction of the $5 billion East African crude oil pipeline, which runs from the Albertine region in Uganda to Tanzania's Tanga port. The 1,500-kilometer pipeline being constructed by China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Company is nearing completion, and crude oil export could start by July. Both countries are expected to benefit economically from the crude oil exports and increased revenues. President Samia Suluhu and Yoweri Museveni also agreed to improve water transport by upgrading the Tanga and Dar es Salaam ports into modern facilities. This will ensure faster water transport by cutting down on road time and reducing costs. Talks also centered on removing all trade barriers to allow a smooth flow of goods and services and improve business links between the two countries. The two leaders also explored ways to resolve regional conflicts, noting that peace and security are key for smooth trade. They reaffirmed their commitment to dialogue to end any conflicts in the region. Isabel Nakiria, News in Kampala.
Along Africa's coastal economies, fishermen say the ocean is no longer providing as it once did. Experts warn that illegal fishing is stripping billions from the continent each year, undermining food security and livelihoods tied to the sea.
Vessels have arrived at this Kilwa seaside market in southern Tanzania, and competition among vendors quickly follows. The agency reflects a deeper problem. Vendors say the daily catch has fallen sharply.
The fish is very little these days. That's why we fight. Everyone wants something to sell, but there is not enough.
Local fishermen say boats that once returned with full nets are increasingly coming back half empty, a trend widely linked to illegal fishing in African coastal waters. Experts agree the situation is dire.
And the figures are staggering. The numbers are just staggering. In total, the continent loses about 11 billion US dollars to illegal fishing. 11 billion US dollars. I mean, in my region, for instance, in the West African sub-region, for instance, it's between $2 to $3 billion to illegal fishing.
Despite repeated regional commitments, including a recent regional summit in Zanzibar, enforcement remains a major challenge.
If you don't have systems that will check me when I come into your EEZ, there's nothing to deter me. So I would always come, do whatever that I want to do illegally, and then move out of there.
He says stronger cross-border cooperation, shared monitoring systems, and tougher penalties are essential if the war on illegal fishing is to be won.
Legal harmonization is key. Political will is key. Sustained financing and external accountability is key. You know, we need to be accountable to one another because, like I said, most of these illegalities that happen at sea are transnational.
But until then, communities on African coasts and cities say the cost of illegal fishing is growing while catches are shrinking.
Well, that's all we have today in African News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.